All right, my God, thank you for talking to us today, man. I appreciate you for having us out here.
Sure.
So, for people who don't know you at all, what's your name? What do you go by? Aliases and that type of stuff?
Aliases. My name's Joey Elzea. That's my name.
You don't have a nickname that they call you?
Oh yeah, Bad Influence. That's my fight name.
Bad Influence?
Yeah.
Joey Bad Influence Elzea?
Yeah.
Well, where did that come from?
Long story. Better had over some drinks and.
We'll have to do that. Right. How many fights are you in to your career right now?
How many fights? 20 something. 20, low 20s, I think like 20, 21, 22, somewhere in that range.
21 total fights?
Yeah, I think that, yeah. So,
all of them
right around there.
All of them?
No, I have 9 pro fights and the rest are amateur fights.
And pro record right now?
7-2.
7-2?
Yeah.
How are you feeling overall?
What do you mean?
Just overall, like, with your so far in your professional career, how do you feel like it's gone for you?
Pretty well, you know. I lost a couple, so that always sucks. It'd be nice to be 9-0, not 7-2, but such is life. There's a million ways to die in MMA, so
Absolutely.
It's really hard to make it far with a great record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not like a boxing where you can get away with picking and choosing fights.
Yeah, it's totally different. In boxing, like, they can just match you up. It's kind of like common to just match people up with 20, get them 20-0 fighting, like, you know.
Scrubs.
Yeah, mailmen who like get paid $500 to you know, take an L, basically, you know. But in MMA, it's a little bit different. There's like a lot more of the, I want to fight the toughest guy. There's that, and then there's also, like I said, just like a million ways to die. Like, you get hit with a punch, a kick, a knee, an elbow, get taken down, controlled, get submitted. It's like you have to be good at everything, and everyone has different strengths and sometimes, you know, matchups, however that goes.
So would you say that it kind of takes it more back to that real competitive nature where people want to beat the best, they want to be the best, and, you know, that means you got to beat the best? Is that kind of more the attitude that fighters in the sport have?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really like that in tune with the boxing culture. It's definitely a lot more like
Within MMA only.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't really know what it's like to be inside of there. If they're all like, I want to beat the best guys, I want to fight the best guys, or if they're like, I want to be 25-0, so I just want to line me up with 25 cans in a row. I think that in my experience, there's a lot more with the fighters where they're like, I want to fight the best guys, you know. But at the same time, there is still a lot of, especially now, more so than like earlier in my career, or maybe I just wasn't aware of it because I hadn't like seen as much as I have now. But there is a lot more of guys just they're, you know, 6-0, 7-0. Then you look at their records, and everyone that they've beat has like a backwards record that's like, you know, 5-30 or something like that. And it's like, okay, your record is good, but as soon as you face adversity, like, you haven't really faced adversity yet, so I don't know.
So what do you say, speaking of competition, what do you say your like goals are? What do you kind of want to accomplish in the sport?
I don't know. No, I mean, I'm already farther than I really ever expected to go in the sport, to be honest. I never even really thought that I was going to have a fight when I first started, and then the first time I trained, I was like, yeah, this is for me. I want to fight eventually. But I just kind of like adjusted the goalpost little by little. It's like, oh, well, maybe I can have a fight one day. Maybe I could win an amateur title one day. Maybe I can go pro one day. Maybe I can win a pro title one day. Maybe I can do, and I just kind of sort of adjusted the goalpost as I've gotten farther along. And so, yeah, the next goalpost for me, I mean, I'm pro. I have a pretty good record. I fought on some like big regional shows and stuff, and like outside of just the immediate area and stuff. So making it to one of the major promotions is the next like big thing on the list, but it's hard. everyone that makes it there is really good, so I would like to make it there, but you know, you never know. I think skill for skill, I have the skills to compete with those guys for sure, but it's not just about that. It's about, you know,
those guys
winning and having exciting fights and all of that stuff.
The major platform like to get to, where's the there to get?
So the big one in the States is the UFC. Obviously, that's the one that everyone knows. Most people refer to MMA, the sport, as UFC. They don't even know anything really outside of UFC. So even when I was an amateur fighter, I had like people that were like, "You're in the UFC." I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Man, you're probably making so much money right now." And I'm like, "I'm actually going backwards. I haven't made a single dime from this, and it's costing me money to fight." And it's like that for a long time. But yeah, the UFC is like the bigger one in the States, so the most name recognition. But there's other big ones too. One Championship is also really big. They're like based in Asia, but they pretty much have all of the same, I mean, monetary like potential as the UFC, and they're really big outside. They just don't have and they have like UFC level talent as well. They just don't have the name recognition in the States. And then there's some other ones too, but like Bellator and PFL that are big, but they are biased against the little guys, so they don't really have my weight class there, so that they're kind of like out of the question a little bit. But yeah.
What weight class are you in?
125. Flyweight. Also fought at 135, but 25 is better for me, for sure.
It's a scary weight. So, let's go into your last couple of fights. So, I don't want to talk about the most recent one just yet, but the one before that. Talk to us about kind of how you were feeling after that fight, and
after the fight,
and how that fight went for you, and then how you felt after the fight.
The fight went pretty awesome. In the moment, it sucked. I was like, it's so intense. There's so much going on, kind of like in autopilot, and just trying to listen to what your coach is telling you and stuff. And I have a negativity bias where I feel like everything is going way worse than it actually is. So in the moment, I didn't really feel like it was going as well as it actually was until I watched it afterwards, and until I eventually hit a head kick and knocked him out like right at the end of the fight, which is pretty awesome. But even when that was happening, like I didn't even realize that he was like out or like going down when I kicked him in the head. Like there was a second where he was falling, and I wasn't sure if he would just like fell down, like I hit him off balance, and I couldn't really tell for sure if I had like connected with his head in the moment. And then he went down, and it's like, oh shit, go after him, and then it was over. It was kind of cool. But immediately after the fight, I felt really bad. It was like my shins and my ankles from like kicking so much and stuff were all swollen and jacked up, and I had a big lump on my eye. But but I mean, the feeling, like emotionally it felt really good, but physically not so great. Yeah.
That wasn't your first like knockout, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was my first like where they actually stopped the fight and he was like done. Yeah, because like I've dropped guys before, and I've also had fights that probably could have been stopped, but that was like the first like down. Yeah.
All right. So we talked about taking some losses. Kind of talk about how you felt during your most recent fight, and kind of how you felt after that fight, and the differences between that fight and the last fight.
I didn't feel the greatest in the moment going into it. I kind of felt a little bit off that day. I mean, it sounds like I'm making excuses because in a sense I sort of am if I'm explaining how I felt, but like I didn't get a ton of sleep like between flying there and then cutting weight and the day of, so I just felt like a couple of degrees off. But like I felt like that before and still gone out there and had like a good performance, so kind of just try to like compartmentalize and just go and do it. And yeah, and I lost the decision. It was a pretty good fight, I thought, but definitely could have performed better. Yeah. And then afterwards, I mean, obviously I was sad that I lost, but like I said, in the sport is you just got to kind of like toss it aside, take your losses, move forward. Can't really like dwell on it too much.
So in similar to other sports, you guys watch fights back, watch film back to see like kind of what you can improve on, or kind of do you just kind of forget fights and kind of keep training and move on to the next one? Or do you kind of pick and pull from that footage to try to see what your habits are or tells or anything like that?
A lot of people, I've heard different things from different people. Some people don't watch their fights. I watch my fights back like 500 times. Like I'll run that thing back for like 3 hours, like in a row, the day after the fight, just like just watching and rewatching, and yeah.
Do you get anything from it?
Yeah. I mean, I get enjoyment out of it, and also like, cause it's cool to see it from the outside. Cause like I said, the one before last where I won, I always feel like it's going way worse than it is. So then when you get to watch it back and it's like actually going well, you're like, oh, that was actually really good. It wasn't bad at all. But then, yeah, also like you said, like looking for just mistakes, things that you could have done better, like all of that stuff too. Yeah.
And so, do you have anything lined up right now, or any events that you think about participating in? Any fights lined up, or anything like that?
Nothing is set in stone right now, but I think there might be something in August. Yeah. Same promotion in Texas, but nothing's like ironed out yet for sure.
So, next goal post you said would be the UFC, right?
Yeah, or one of the other ones.
Big ones. So, do you feel like you stack up to the talent in the UFC at your weight class, or how do you feel like you compete with those guys, or where do you feel like you fit in like today with those guys?
I think I can compete with those guys for sure. If I show up and perform to the best of my ability, I definitely believe that I can for sure. But if I show up and don't perform to the best of my ability, I can get my ass kicked. But that goes for pretty much everybody. Yeah.
Got the name of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna take a less formal moment here because you and I actually know each other very well.
Yeah.
We've actually been friends for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I know you as Logic, the rapper. So I don't think a lot of people that like in your circle nowadays may even know that you used to have a rap career.
It wasn't a career. It was just fun. Yeah, it was just fun.
And so, but what made you even get into this sport at all?
What made me get into this?
Yeah, what made you?
I used to be super fat. You remember me when I was super fat too?
I do.
Yeah, I was really fat. Lost a bunch of weight. Started to gain it back because lifting weights and running is boring. It's really hard to do that for a really long extended period of time. And then I just had an opportunity to try out a class, and I was like, that sounds way more fun than lifting things up and setting them down over and over again. And then I just loved it.
What is it about the sport that made you kind of fall in love with it and stick around and continue to get punched on and stuff?
It's fun. I don't know. It's fun. Just like it's kind of hard to explain. It's fun in a lot of different ways because like you're always learning new things. So it's mentally stimulating, and then you're learning new things and you're like trying new things out, and like in the moment there's like a really addictive like flow state that you go into where like you're just like in the zone, and that in itself is like super fun. You get to test out the things that you learned, and getting a good workout, endorphins are nice, all that stuff. I don't know. It's like there's a whole bunch of things that are just awesome about it that are fun. It's not for everybody, but
for sure. Definitely not for everybody. Because if someone punches me or kicks me, I'm definitely shooting them. I think I ran through everything. Nothing to promote. Is there anywhere people can follow you or anything like that?
Instagram.
You do Instagram?
Yeah, I do Instagram. People like my stories. I got the best memes in the game.
What's your Instagram name?
At Joey Elzea, my name.
At Joey Elzea.
Yeah.
Bad influence, man. I appreciate you talking to us today, man. I can't wait to see what else you get done in this sport, and we will for sure be watching the whole step of the way. Wishing you the best of luck, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.